Nathan Zegura here with another playoff edition of the 2-Minute Drill brought to you by University Hospitals. Today we're going to look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense, and spoiler alert, Browns fans, it is a good one. They are the number one total offense in the NFL. They are the number one passing offense in the NFL, and it is no surprise that head coach Andy Reid and offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy have built this offense around their uber-talented quarterback Patrick Mahomes, just 2 years removed from being the NFL's MVP. Mahomes threw for 4,740 yards and 38 touchdowns this season with only 6 interceptions. He had another 302 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the ground, meaning that he accounted for more than 5,000 yards of offense and 40 touchdowns for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes led the NFL, averaging 4.5 pass plays of more than 20 yards per game this season, and his 13 passing touchdowns on passes of more than 20 yards in the air were most in the NFL. He is as explosive and dynamic a quarterback as the league has ever seen, and he can throw the ball seemingly the length of the football field. So whenever a play breaks down, you've got to look for Mahomes. He buys time in the pocket and then can launch BBs as though he is a Madden game character. He is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the NFL to deal with. When I mentioned the 300 yards rushing, the vast majority of those come on third downs where he is able to extend drives with his legs. But he's somebody who always keeps his eye down the field, looking to make a play with his arm. And why wouldn't he? The Chiefs have the best receiving tandem in the National Football League, and they're perfect complements for each other. Tyreek Hill is the league's premier vertical threat. This year, he had 1,276 yards receiving, 8th most in the NFL, and 15 touchdowns, which was 2nd most in the league. 8 of his 15 touchdowns came on passes of more than 20 yards in the air, most in the NFL. Hill, who averaged nearly 15 yards per catch, also had 5 pass plays of more than 40 yards. And you want to know how explosive he is? Just ask the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the first quarter of their game earlier this year, Hill had 203 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. The Browns have to make sure that Hill does not get deep for those explosive plays. And yet, here lies the problem in defending the Chiefs' passing attack. You're worried about Hill taking the top off the defense. Well, they have the best intermediate receiver, perhaps, in NFL history in tight end Travis Kelsey. Kelsey set the NFL record for most receiving yards in a season by a tight end with 1,416 this year, which were 2nd most in the NFL. He probably could have led the NFL in receiving had he not sat out in Week 17 when the Chiefs had already locked up their bye. His 11 touchdowns were 5th most in the league and most among all tight ends. And how about this? Travis Kelsey led the NFL, regardless of position, with 23 receptions of more than 20 yards this year. He is the ultimate matchup nightmare. He's too big to be covered by corners or safeties. He is too fast and too savvy a route runner to be covered by linebackers. And so the Chiefs in that duo can beat you deep. They can beat you over the middle of the field. And Kelsey, as I mentioned, with the 23 catches of more than 20 yards this year, is excellent after the catch. So the Browns are going to have their hands full stopping those two. But that's not it for the Chiefs. They have other weapons of note. Mecole Hardman, the wide receiver, had 560 yards and 4 scores. Demarcus Robinson, 466 and 3 scores. And former first-round pick Sammy Watkins had 421 yards and 2 scores of his own. This is as good a passing attack as the Browns will have seen all year long. And it's not easy to just play more cover 2 like they did against the Steelers last week because of Kelsey in the middle of the field, and tight ends like that who can get down the seam make cover 2 coverages very vulnerable. Now, if you want to try to stop the Chiefs from passing it and say, look, we're going to sell out, you run the football, they'll give it to their first-round pick this year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He led the team with over 800 yards rushing on 4.4 yards per carry. The rookie accounted for about 1,100 yards of total offense this year. And they also have Le'Veon Bell, who looked good, but not quite as good as he used to in his heyday this season. Yes, the Chiefs are explosive, but the Browns are going to have to do their best to contain this offense. And one of the best ways to do that will be to run the football with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and keep Pat Mahomes and company on the sideline. This has been another playoff edition of the 2-Minute Drill, looking at the Chiefs offense presented by University Hospitals.